Good evening. Welcome to the council meeting of April 15th. Anyone in the audience with amplifying headphones, please raise your hand. We'll deliver those to you. Not easy. I pledge of allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Why don't we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns. Here. Councilmember Gilmore.
Here.
Mayor Nesco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Sapp.
Here.
And Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Council having late changes to the agenda. City manager.
Mr. Mayor, if you will, and the council will so approve. I'd like to add an action item, would be G4, and that is resolution number 1379-0425, which is a contract amendment with Aspect Consulting for some amended C Street landfill post cleanup monitoring and action planning.
Thank you. Council, okay, and before. All right. They're like changes?
Nope.
All right, council, how many board reports to share?
I just wanted to update on the housing announcement. The Housing Behavioral Health Advisory Board has been having discussions regarding the homeless crisis response RFP for 2025 to 2027. And today is supposed to be the day that was announced and released, but I'm not sure if that was. I haven't heard any follow-up on that. So I have a follow-up meeting with them on April 23rd, and I intend update next month.
All right. Moving on, has council read the consent agenda as published? Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as published.
All right, we have a motion in multiple seconds to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Moving along, the council invites the public to make comments on matters of city business. Comments shall be made to the entire council, not individual council members. Please refrain from any personal or disrespectful remarks that create disruption of our meeting. If unreasonable, disruptive conduct continues, you'll be asked to leave the meeting. Donna, anyone set up public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Our first speaker is Dean Jewett.
Good evening, always a pleasure to be here. Let's start right off. You may or may not have seen the cooking oil adventures that we had downtown at our building by a transient individual. Apparently he decided to kick over a 55-gallon barrel of oil. So, you know, why does that happen? To me, it's the three things: accountability, enforcement, and leadership. Thousands of dollars, 2 fire trucks, two police cruisers, 6 firemen, a street sweeper, a backhoe, and a vac truck. Okay, unacceptable. Community Lifeline. How much money have we poured into Community Lifeline? We know it's failing. We know it's going to be closing. I've been made aware that we have individuals in the council that have been having discussions with Colleen Carmichael, who was on the board, about having them purchase that building and keep it as a shelter. So do we have a conflict of interest with having conversations with somebody on the council that the rest of the council doesn't know or the city doesn't know? And we also have a individual that's on the council that voted to give them good money after bad, which should have been reclused, but didn't. So there was a meeting between another individual on our council with a concerned NGO individual. And that conversation led to where that individual will never have a conversation with that individual again. So a lot of demeaning, a lot of talking at and down to. One of the statements was, well, what do you know? You're just a girl. Are you serious? I think Mark was supposed to be at the meeting, but then was asked not to or wasn't there. You're gonna hear a lot about this No More campaign. There's individuals, there's businesses that are starting a No More campaign, and it has to do with the negative behavior that we all have to deal with in town. We have Nifty Thrifty. You know, how many times does Nifty Thrifty have to get their stuff burned down? You know, things stolen. They had to shut down their garbage container in the back alley and actually buy and or get a dumpster in the front where the chains and the locks have been cut. We have individual businesses that sit across from Post Office Park that have to call in numerous times and to be told that there's nothing that can be done and they're chasing away clients. These things are unacceptable. Now, some positive notes. We got a lot of camps that were cleaned up. I want to thank Mark. I want to thank the city. I want to thank the police officers. There's a lot of good positive things that are being done. But we need more and we need it done sooner. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Tiana Dunbar.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Tiana Dunbar, and I am with the Mason County Economic Development Council. I have some exciting news for Shelton entrepreneurs and small business owners. The Mason County Economic Development Council, in partnership with the Thurston County Center for Business and Innovation, is offering scholarships for business enterprise startup training, otherwise known as BEST, and Quick Start e-commerce training. The scholarships are provided through funding from Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Council and seek to support new businesses in Shelton. BEST consists of 5 online on-demand courses, so you take it at your own speed, that teach new entrepreneurs how to write a business plan, to structure and license their business, start branding and marketing their business, protecting their intellectual property, and to gain basic accounting knowledge to help their businesses thrive. Quick Start is an e-commerce training program in partnership with the W Marketplace. It's designed for women-owned businesses with an existing online presence, so either a website or a social media. Upon completion, participants will receive a certificate and gain access to the W Marketplace platform, and that helps them to expand their reach and enhance their business visibility. Interested Shelton entrepreneurs are encouraged to apply for scholarships first, as funds are limited. After submitting your scholarship application, applicants will be contacted by the Center for Business and Innovation, who will provide access to those courses, along with no-cost access to the business plan writing software. So to apply for scholarships, please visit masonedc.org or feel free to give me a call. Our phone number is 360-426-2276. And if you have any questions, I can be reached by email tiana@choosemason.com, or again, call us at 360-426-2276. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Ross Gallagher.
Evening, council. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ross Gallagher. I live at 240 South 7th Street. Tonight, I'd like to make my comments about the 7th Street Speedway. There need to be some type of speed bumps, like Port Towns. Port Towns, I guess, has more of a cushion type speed bump. And I know the sturdy speed bumps, like you really hit them hard, is an obstacle for fire trucks. Fire trucks have to slow down, and that, which means they're losing valuable time in time of need to respond to a call. However, Port Townsend laid down, these cushion type, restraints. That might be a good solution of slowing the traffic down on the Speedway or Seventh Street. Just a little side note, just this morning, there were two pickup trucks coming from Angleside. One passed the other in front of my house, proceeding toward Railroad Avenue. And also, once in a while, there seems to be some wayward logging trucks using that parts. So that's my problem.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Rick Jonathan.
Evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. I think I'm gonna start speaking at council meetings in general, much the same way that some other people do. Just to offer another point of view, and I would like to suggest tonight with regards to the $20,000 that was given to Community Life. For the record, I don't think it was about keeping Community Lifeline alive. I don't think it was a waste of money, and I commend you for offering that money. It was the humane decision. It was a time of extreme cold, and it was about saving lives. And I think we can all agree that that's a good use of money. We can debate other fiscal discussions about the wisdom of supporting a nonprofit. Certainly that deserves a lot of discussion. But the humane gesture was much appreciated. Thank you.
There's no one virtually.
Next on our agenda is a proclamation for Earth Day, and Councilmember Gutierrez is going to read that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. City of Shelton Earth Day 2025 proclamation. Whereas the city of Shelton is a gateway to the magnificent Olympic Peninsula and the Olympic National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the Daniel J. Evans Wilderness Area. And whereas the city of Shelton has historically relied upon and indeed was founded upon the resources from the waters of Puget Sound, from the surrounding forests, resources tended now and since time immemorial by the native peoples of our region. And whereas Earth Day is an opportunity to educate and inspire people to take action to protect the environment. And whereas the earth is a precious and irreplaceable resource that sustains all life. And whereas the city of Shelton strives to reduce its carbon footprint and preserve natural resources. And whereas agriculture, aquaculture, forests, water, and the earth are integral to Shelton's identity and economy. And whereas wildlife and ecosystems are connected to us with mutual relationships. And whereas salmon and shellfish, like oysters, are keystone species, maintaining healthy marine ecosystems. And whereas the city recognizes the sponsors of this proclamation, the Capital Land Trust, Cedar Stewards of Mason County, the Economic Development Council, shout out to Tiana, Mason County Climate Justice, Salish Roots Farms, South Puget Sound Salmon Enhancement Group, and the Washington State Extension Mason County Master Gardeners, who have been stewards of the land that we wish to pass on to future generations. And now, therefore, the city of Shelton does hereby proclaim April 22nd as Earth Day in the city of Shelton, signed on this 15th day of August, May 2025 by your mayor. Please go.
Thank you, Councilmember. Our next presentation is financial dividends and financial status report for us.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Let me bring it up on screen so that it's visible to those watching and in the audience. So this is the monthly financial report for the month of February. So just to remind you, we're making some assumptions early on in the fiscal year, but this was due in packet a couple of weeks ago, so we have the benefit of being able to look a little bit into March and seeing some of our trends and where we're at. So I want to use this as a little bit of a reminder as we go forward towards the May 5th council retreat, where we'll be talking about service levels and leaving the budget more out of it. But as a reminder, where we're at for this meeting as of the month of February. So on page 1 here at the beginning, we're forecasting to be just under budget with revenue in collections, but it's still early in the fiscal year. I do want to point out that some revenue categories we're showing to be slightly above, some slightly under. Our sales tax collections are down compared to January and February of 2024. For our sales tax, remember, in the general fund main category, we're collecting somewhere between 275,000 and 300,000. So when it's down, that's noticeable to us. We start to look at that. I don't know if that's a prediction of anything. January and February, remember, were sales that were remitted for November and December. So that's, and it's down in TBD and the other fund as well, although we collect less there. So we'll watch that. Expenses, as you'll notice here, are forecast to be favorable by $255,455. So what I want to point out here is that at this time, we're estimating that expenses will exceed revenue by that $916,243 amount. So as you remember, we adopted the budget, assuming we'd used just over 1.1 million of the ending fund unreserved balance. We're now reasonably, I think, at this point, expecting just over 900,000 to use of the ending fund balance. So when you take the unreserved fund balance of this number here, the 2,148,446 minus the $916,243, that leaves us with a projected unreserved amount at the end of the year at $1.2 million. So I think we'd all agree that's why we're having the discussion on May 5th about service levels, because that's simply not sustainable to keep going to our savings account, if you will, and using that. So I'll point out a couple of other things as we go through this. At the bottom of the report here on page 1, you'll notice that we're still showing the general fund balance history back to 2019 with the orange line, if you will, showing where that reserved amount is. So unreserved above, reserved below that. Let me skip forward here to page 3 and point out a couple of things. This is the general fund overview of expenditures. It's early in the year, but we're able to make some predictions based on trends. Now, obviously, this can change because it's only 2 months of data, but you'll see a number of the areas where we're estimating it to be unfavorable. But overall, because right now, early on, we're estimating some to be favorable, particularly our contract with Central Mason Fire. When that budget was prepared, I was estimating on the property tax value I assumed we'd get, it was somewhat lower. So that's the savings there, because that agreement's based on our assessed value within the city limits. That's a pretty significant savings. If it weren't for that, you'll notice we'd be kind of looking at a different story on those general fund expenditures. So I think that's important to keep in mind as we continue our talks about budget development for 2026. At the bottom, just as a reminder, the pie chart that shows general fund expenditures, 50% is wages and benefits. So that's all of the employees that are paid out of the general fund. The rest then, of course, is our professional services, other expenses, supplies, and a little bit of transfer out for some of our obligations in the other funds. Let me go forward now to page 4 and talk about the year-to-year comparisons of revenues and expenditures for the general fund as compared with prior years. This, I think, is important. Let me get down there if it'll hold still there. You'll notice our expenditures, if you look at this over the historical period we have here. So it's running from 2023 forward. You'll notice those expenses, 14.6 jumps up to 15.5, and then this year just over 17 million. So our expenses are going up at a rate, as we've said, where revenue is just more flat. We need to live within that. We can't keep going to the savings, which is the unreserved cash balance. And so as we project forward, That's again, the emphasis on the retreat on May 5th to talk about service levels so that we can decide how we keep that at a rate that isn't using so much of that unreserved ending fund balance. At the bottom of page 4 is that trend that I was talking about. We also run it for the revenues. So you can see revenues vary a little bit. They've gone up, in particular, more between 23 and 24 due to the increase in business and occupation tax, but then fell a bit for 25 because of some of the one-time monies that we didn't receive. So that's on that. Let me go to page 6 quickly and just talk with you a little bit about. So that's the breakdown on sales tax. We continue our primary category for the month and that we receive is on retail. I think that's a lot of the analysis when we think about our sales tax. It doesn't change a lot. That's both the good and the bad, I guess, because if things slow down, there's not a lot of compression that can happen there because of the categories from which we are being paid sales tax. At the bottom of the page is the, as I said, the month of February. At the top is January and February combined. So it just doesn't change a whole lot. In fact, it increases a little more in retail because that brings in the month of December, where I think you would tend to have more retail spending. I'm going to skip to page 7 as we conclude. On page 7 are the fund balances of all of the funds. So I focus mostly on the general fund here. You have the street fund. Again, that's a fund where we're estimating our expenditures to be more than the revenue. We plan that, having a pretty aggressive year to do some projects, but we're using a little bit of the ending fund balance. So that draws that down. Overall, as I would remind you, you want to see that estimated fund balance in the positive. Everything's looking good in that regard. At the bottom of page 7 is the citywide FTE. This is as of February 28th, the positions open. I can tell you that if you go forward to April, we've filled a number of positions in several departments, so that changes a little bit. That, as we pointed out before, results in a little bit of budget savings when we have some open positions often. So that creates that. And then on pages 9 through 12, we're running the overview of citywide funds detailing the 25 budget, the revenue and expenditures in a little bit more detail, but summing up each of our funds. So that's where we stand as of February. Of course, we're right now getting the quarterly report submitted. Some of our grants require that, as well as our payroll and other reporting. So that's kind of the little view into finance at this point.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike? Thank you.
We look forward to working with you on the 5th with more budget plan.
All right. Our first business item is resolution for MDR network upgrade and design. Assistant Public Works Director Brent Armstrong has details for us. Share.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. My first presentation is a MBR Headworks upgrade design. We received a $3.2 million legislative appropriation grant to design and construct a new Headworks facility at the MBR plant. This will increase the ability to accept higher flows. We're phasing in, expanding that plant. Kind of got to start where it comes in, design that to be able to meet higher flows. Right now, our flows are at 0.4 million gallons, 400,000 gallons a day. We're gonna try and triple that with this upgrade. And then it consists of new Headworks facility and then integrating it into the existing Headworks facility up there. So this is a design contract for $408 thousand that gets us through design and bidding support. The total project's gonna be roughly around 4 million as of today dollars, so we're getting this up and going.
Thank you. John and I are reading the resolution number 1375-020325.
Resolution number 1375-0325. A resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to execute an on-call work order with parametrics to begin design on improvements to the headworks at the MBR treatment plant.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to place resolution number 1375-0325 on the action agenda for the meeting on May 6th, 2025 for further consideration.
Thank you. Comments or questions? This is gonna help in the winter time. We've got the really heavy rain.
The system up at the MBR plant is fairly new. And it's a tight system, so we don't get the major fluctuations of flow like we do with the infiltration and inflow that we do down at the main plant, so. It'll help when we have some of the future projects going that we can divert flows up to that plant. So once we have a series of these projects done, then it will start to help the flows at the main plant.
And you refresh my memory, how many basins we have left to do? Do you know that off your head? I think there's-
Yeah, we have, the two basins that we have left are 5 and 6, but they're relatively large basins. They're all of Mountain View and all of Angleside. And they're kind of split into north and south basins. And basin 7, actually, 6 and 7. But the big thing is that we're gonna try and do some smoke testing, and get some of the I&I that we can take from like roof drains and cross connections out first before we have to do a whole basin project.
Any other questions? Comments?
Just one more comment, thank you, and this is proclaiming Earth Day, and that we need to always protect the quantity and quality of our water. This is one of the measures that does that, so, thank you so much, Greg, for, making this happen.
We have a motion and second. Place resolution 1375-0325 in action agenda, May 6th. Consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Up next, Brent. Oh, sorry, yeah, you have to go. Sure.
Bypass removal project.
Yeah. Click on that. You should go share screen. I'm open that again. Yep, you're good. Okay, let's see. There it is.
Okay, the next item is a design through parametrics for the Goldsboro Creek sewer pipe removal. This has been a project that has kind of been evolving over the years since even before I was here, and started out in 2000. We've had upgrades, several projects tied into it, one being the pump station on the corner of Neal and Park. So all of the flow from the south side of town used to go under this pipe off of Park Street and First Street. Now we capture it at the pump station at Neal and Park. And as you can see on the map, just down or where the red line is, to the left of the ripples, there's actually gravity sewer line that you can see if you stand on that bridge. That we have agreed to take it out through some agreements with the Fish and Wildlife, and getting our sewer force main bridge that is shown in that also. So this portion is designing the removal. There's a manhole on each side of the creek that will be capping that pipe and removing it, as well as removing the rocks. It's been an ongoing project that's got delayed a few times because they wanted to do a bunch of the enhancement work out in the actual bay. So now what they're finding out is it's ready to get that saltwater infused debris to go in there and help coat the debris that they put in there, so it'll create habitat. And it'll downward cut. We've talked to the state. They've assured us that they don't have any concerns with the down cutting affecting the bridge. And so this will be the first stage of design and removal of the pipe. And then we will be, we have preliminary designs on how we will put temporary bypassing in the future for if needed.
And Brent, we have a fish window essentially when we can work in the creek, correct?
Yes, this design contract covers all of the permitting and there's many partners, Fish and Wildlife, the tribe, Army Corps, Salmon Enhancement Group. There's a lot of permitting, so we're trying to get the permitting started now and shooting for next year's fish window
Yeah.
to do construction.
Commonly referred to as
Yeah.
fish window. It's when you have less impact within the stream bed for any migrating salmon or their bearing of eggs within the stream bed.
Donna, you reading resolution number 1377-0325.
Resolution number 1377-0325. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to execute an on-call work order with parametrics to begin design on the removal of a sewer bypass pipe within Goldsboro Creek.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to place resolution number 1377-0325 on the May 6th, 2025 action agenda for further consideration.
Second.
All right, comments or questions?
So currently, Brent, are we stopping a lot of the sediment upstream right there and it's not getting into the bay, so they can't be any further wetland restoration or anything, or what's?
Yeah, so they've done a lot of the restoration work out there. What they're hoping is the downward cutting from when these big rocks get removed and the pipe. The rocks were put in to protect the pipe. But as you can see, the water, there's quite a big drop off on the backside of those that they're hoping that debris is going to cut down and go fill in that habitat area.
So the hope is that the bay is gonna have better water quality and more natural wetland areas.
Yeah,
It'll bring more fine sediment, especially that's being held by those rocks down into that riparian area where the capping was created after Simpson moved out. So you saw those, what they called the north lobe, the south lobe of Goldsboro Creek, and then there's some log, whatever, booms, rafts, root balls that they put in there again for habitat. So this will move more of that fine sediment out there. Build in the habitat, the little guys, little salmonoids like to have for hiding out and moving back out before they get big enough. Or they can get big enough to kind of avoid some of the predatory animals that they find out in more open water.
And we have a long list of partners who want this to happen, and you've chosen the fish window, correct?
yeah, they're really interested in that because this is one of the best coho streams on the peninsula.
So I'm comfortable moving forward. Thank you, Brent.
This is part of the big sandbar they've been putting out there the last several years out in the bay there.
Essentially, yeah.
It's kind of like finishing it up on it.
That the capping of the sediment in place rather than dredging it out, to my understanding, they capped some of that in place, but it also created a more natural shoreline rather than the armored shoreline which was bulkheaded. So when they capped that, some of that sediment that was there from the log operations, it also created more of a natural shoreline, which then, mimics what it was however long ago before that was altered.
Other questions or comments? Right, we have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1377-0325 agenda May 6th for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Right now, we have a action agenda. We have a resolution about amending our street striping agreement. Public Works, Public Works Assistant Director Brent Armstrong has details for us.
Yes, so this is a follow-up from the presentation that Jay gave a couple weeks ago on updating our WashDOT striping contract, long line striping that goes through town. We found that it was good financially to go with WashDOT. We did a contract, we had to add a year to it. And then, from here on out, we're gonna kind of just go year by year, on these contracts, so, this is just kind of some housekeeping on the past contract, adding a couple years and so we can get that and then move year to year going forward.
Donna, you know, have public comment on this?
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
They're reading the resolution number 1366-1224.
Resolution number 1366-1224. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to execute the striping maintenance agreement, amendment number 1 with the Washington State Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt resolution number 1366-1224 as presented.
Second.
Right, comments or questions?
Excuse me, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
sorry.
Who is the second?
Melissa.
Thank you.
Comments or questions? All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1366-1224 presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Another one for Brent, tells about the line contract amendment for satellite wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, this is the design contract and, construction assistance through the build of the 500,000 gallon reclaim tank at the MBR plant. Not much has changed. Nothing's changed since the last time, but, it's bringing forward, getting us through final design and then bid assistance and then all the way through construction. So we're hoping, right now, this project is, the design is far enough along that it's getting reviewed by ecology. Once we get their approval, we'll be going out to bid.
Thank you. Donna, anyone set up for a comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Then we have to read the resolution number 1374-0325.
Resolution number 1374-0325. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to execute contract amendment number 5 with Gray and Osborne Incorporated for design and construction assistance of the satellite wastewater treatment plant reclaimed water treatment project.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt resolution number 1374-0325 as presented.
Right. Comments or questions?
Quantity and quality.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1374-0325 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Up next, city manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about a transportation benefit proposition.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor. I'll give Brent a break here for a minute. As you'll remember, on April 1st, staff brought forward a resolution to place the renewal of a 0.2% sales and use tax for the benefit of transportation projects on behalf of the TBD, the Shelton Transportation Benefit District, on the ballot on August 5th this year, 2025. The existing 0.2% sales tax expires in February of 26. So it's a 10-year term originally voted on by the voters in the city of Shelton back on November 3rd of 2015. The council has the authority to go out for approval of the sales tax at 0.2 or 0.3%. Councilmatically, you could impose a 0.1% sales tax. But as directed on April 1st, staff developed a resolution again that would approve the 0.2% sales tax that would be voted on August 5th. And then ballot measure. This would replace the existing 0.2 that it's again expired in February. It would take effect at that point at the expiration of the 2015 ballot measure and continue for another 10 years to support, again, transportation measures, both vehicle and pedestrian measures within the city of Shelton. Right now, we're collecting about $750,000. Again, this is sales and use tax. It's collected throughout the city from not only residents of the community, but outside the community that visit and shop here. Those are critical funds to help support our transportation and our street fund. And without those funds, we'd be talking about a much different budget moving forward from what we have in 2025. So I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we have a reading of resolution number 1376-0325.
Resolution number 1376-0325. A resolution of the city of Shelton City Council providing for a ballot proposition to be submitted to the qualified electors to renew and continue to impose a sales and use tax upon all taxable retail sales and uses in the amount of 0.2% for the purpose of financing transportation improvements.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 1376-0325 as presented.
Comments or questions?
You need a second.
Oh.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I'm usually getting 5. So,
Who was the second?
It's me.
All right.
maybe I-
So, I would like to make a point that we are facing a budget shortfall of over $1 million, and that I believe that we should have a 0.3% tax instead of 0.2% tax. And I would like to entertain a motion to make it 0.3% tax instead of a 0.2% tax.
Was that a motion?
I made a motion.
Is there a second? Amended. Is there a second on the amended? 3 times. Is there a second on the amended? Motion fails, or the amendment to the motion fails. Right. So comments or questions?
We're gonna be facing more harsh winters, and if you're stuck in the snow and we can't plow the streets for you, remember who asked for an increase in, that's all.
I do fully agree that it would be most prudent for us to increase it to 0.3%. We're spending that money already. It's coming out of the general fund. But based on discussions with other council members and everybody who's coming to talk to us, I think that it is right now for us to look to continue the tax that we have and explore that in the future. But I agree, it is a need.
The voters blessed us 10 years ago with this 0.2% for our roads, and without this, we would have not had any of these projects. We've had the Gateway project down the railroad, we've had North Cliff, we've had paved Jefferson Street. Come on, Marco, we did a roundabout. We're working on a light system up by the Shelton Springs Road and Inland Wallace. All of these projects were done with the Transportation Benefit District. And the city and our general fund budget is kicking in another 500,000 just do some of these projects, and we've leveraged that money very well for these projects. If we did not have that money, we would not have probably even catching holes in the roads really. I mean, $500,000 out of general fund doesn't really do a whole lot for how many square miles of roads do we have? Anybody know?
Over 50, sorry, you surprised me on that one. 45 sidewalks, so.
And it also, it is for sidewalks also, so I
Correct.
mean, it's been great that the voters gave us that, so we've been very diligent with using it on big projects, like that money with federal and state grants to, to do these big projects, and I'm confident.
Mr. Mayor, if you will, we've recently conducted our pavement condition index rating system, so we have a lot of data on every street within the city of Shelton that'll inform us on what next projects will be coming up. We've got our we got our ADA transition plan that'll also inform us of needs within our pedestrian transportation system to increase not only safety, but ADA access as well. And then our critical pedestrian route program which will be coming up. So those are all programs that inform us better on how these funds can be spent in our community and how it can be most effective within our community and preserve the infrastructure we have.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to tell the voters, hope that they understand that we are not increasing any taxes. We are just maintaining the level of funding that we have had for the past 10 years that we've been blessed with and been good stewards of. So
I'm apologetic for those of you that will have a poor road quality index in the future, but we failed to, even entertain the motion. So, thank you for what we have, and I hope we can maintain it in the future.
We have, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1376-0325 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to our added G4 aspect consulting contract. Presenting. Okay, Brett.
Yes, this is a amendment to Aspect Consulting for our C Street cleanup. We're under the agreed order for continued environmental monitoring up there. And this just came out from Ecology that we have to develop a sampling plan and sample for PFAS, which is per and polyfluoroalkyls.
Job.
And which this is kind of already been evolving since around 2019. It's really started kicking off with the EPA. We tested it in the water. We've never had a hit in our water system. This year we'll be testing 3 times in our water system. So this is to the Forever Chemicals as Teflon food packing for some fast food, microwave popcorn bags, pizza boxes, things like that. They're forever chemicals that aren't naturally made and don't dissolve well. So this is just kind of another step in the evolution that they're tying it into our landfill site monitoring. Further down the road, I see this expanding to other areas, but this is a contract amendment that we are required to monitor this through Department of Ecology. Hopefully we do get some relief if our first initial testings come back with no high results or no detection at all.
And Mr. Mayor, the reason why we're bringing this to you as a late item, we didn't get a lot of notice from Ecology, so we're trying to meet their deadline in May. In order for Aspect Consulting to complete the monitoring program and submit it to Ecology for their review, which could take some time, we kind of have an accelerated timeline. So that's why we're bringing it to you, as a last minute agenda item to hopefully meet that requirement that Ecology is placing on us already. They don't provide a whole lot of grace there. They have a deadline and we're trying to meet that accordingly.
Donna, is there a reading on this?
There is, Mr. Mayor. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number 1379-0425. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to approve contract amendment number 4 with Aspect Consulting LLC for post-cleanup monitoring and reporting of the C Street landfill.
Thank you, Donna. I should ask if there's any public want to comment. This is action item, correct?
It is
So
actually.
is there any public wants to comment on this? Okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 1379-0425 as presented.
Second.
All right. Comments or questions? Just another test, basically, of what we're already doing.
Yes,
Sticking down
and
the hole
it's, and it is covered by the grant. We're actually looking to see if we can get the grant free increase to cover more of this, so we can use that for continued testing.
All right. We putting actual garbage in that up in the 50s, correct? Then we put other stuff in there later on, but wasn't it the 50s?
Yeah, it wasn't open necessarily to the public, but there was it was used for different purposes, whether it was wood debris or things like that. It wasn't officially closed. That was the issue that we ran up against, right? You had to go through an official closure process of Ecology, and if that wasn't done, it's considered open.
Yeah.
So if you don't go through these measures, officially closing it and having that tested, monitored, capping it, doing whatever needs to be done, could have been digging it out and hauling it to another approved landfill. Unless you go through that, they consider the landfill to be open and potentially active.
What's the question?
So just on this Earth Day, I want us to think about what we're putting into the landfills, and so What can we do with places that have to be monitored for forever chemicals? What can we do for places like the C Street landfill? What can we do for places like Goose Lake? What can we do? What can we do with those areas? Because obviously we can't put any housing on there, but what can we put trails and parks and other things like that? And I'd like to ask the city manager and Mr. Armstrong, if you know of any municipalities, what they do with capped landfills.
Well, you have to get through the testing process first, right? And so we're under the requirements to monitor it for, I believe it's at least 20 years. So then there's some other avenues that open up, I believe, after that.
There's potential for low impact. I've seen recreational facilities on these, even dog parks and things like that. The issue is you'll have settling within the landfills too, because as the debris degrades, it'll decompose and shrink down. So you have settling. And then our particular landfill, the C Street landfill, has semi-impermeable cap or is it impermeable cap?
Yeah,
It's got a
it
cap
sheets
on
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that essentially sheets the water flow so it doesn't go down through the existing landfill debris. So you have to maintain that, right? You can't penetrate that and allow the groundwater or the surface water to penetrate that. So you're limited in what you could do in those circumstances. Certainly ecology has a lot of say in that. But I have seen some repurposing of these areas for recreational amenities where you don't need a structure, right? Or at least you're not digging into the ground or excavating and all to create any type of infrastructure structure.
So could we have a study session in the future about what we can do with landfills and for areas that are polluted in the city? Sure. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1379-0425. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, I need a second, don't I? No, we did that already. Aye, sorry. I'm not used to not having it written down, so we go. All right. And now we're at the manager report.
Yeah, just a couple things, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. We're entering construction season. I know you've seen some of the construction up on Spring Road with that high pressure water line going in. There will be this weekend, they'll be crossing the Spring Road 13th. What is it? It's 13th Brockdale, I guess, Spring Road Alpine intersection. The work will be done at night after 7 p.m. So it'll minimize disruptions, but there will be some disruptions out there at night. There'll be signage that allows people to get through there. There won't be any specific closures, but there will be delays. This is an important project to bring water from one pressure zone, which is the Upper Mountain View pressure zone, out by the Mason County Public Works Shop, to the Mountain View pressure zone, which is up there as you up on Alpine Ridge or Alpine, just past Alpine Way, the water tank up there, provide more capacity, more pressurized water for some of the development that's happening up on Olympic Ridge. Olympic Heights. I think the name's changed a couple times. So
Mark, do we want to let the facilities know up there that Maple Glen and all them, and also maybe Christmas Village,
yeah,
about
absolutely.
the noise they make?
Our first responders get back there. Yeah, we'll make sure that the release gets out to everybody in the neighborhood up there. Yeah, by all means. That coupled with some work at the signal at Wallace and Springs. You'll see the lights are bagged right now. There's still some wiring, some testing needs to be done, but we anticipate in the next week or two, we should have those dedicated turn lane lights up and running there. So I'm really thankful of the efforts our staff has put into that. We've done that in-house with some assistance from a consultant to do some wiring and reconfiguration in the signal cabinets that'll help make that intersection much safer, especially during school hours. And then it's, as you know, we had our discussion about multifamily tax exemption ordinances last week at the study session. Staff is working on cleaning some of that up, building that into an ordinance we can bring back to you. It'll probably be June by the time we get that back to you, but we'll continue working on that. I'll provide you updates as we move through if there's any changes or opportunities to move forward with that. And then it's also special event season. The Olympus Rally was here in town Saturday. Great to see a bunch of people from out of town, downtown, visiting our city center. The farmers market is slated for May 3rd. over here in the parking lot next door. We're happy to have them back over here and up and running on Saturdays through sometime in October. Don't remember the exact date.
Twenty-fifth.
25th October.
Last
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah. And then, we have other events like Forest Festival and the Business Expo and the Disc Golf Tournament coming up on the north side of Springs Road this summer. So we're looking forward to helping all these groups and individuals navigate the events around our community. And the last thing I have for you tonight, we are recommending cancellation of our study session next week. We're busy preparing for our April 29th Government 101, City Government 101 session, hopefully to inform individuals of the form of government, council's role, and our department's operations for those that may want to just learn more or potentially throwing their hat in the ring for a council position. And then, as Mike mentioned a couple times, a retreat on May 5th.
We had cleanup day coming too, right?
Pardon me?
We had cleanup day coming too.
We have cleanup days, yeah, exactly. May 10th and May 17th. That's going out in our utility bills this month. So free cleanup days for city residents, 2 locations, Callahan Park on May 10th. On Summit Street, across from Shelton Outfitters on May 17th. It's limited certain items, household items, no appliances, no tires, no paints or chemicals like that. But if you've got some stuff laying around, it's hard to get to the dump, feel free to bring it on by or help you with your spring cleaning, if you will.
Sounds good. Right.
This is the question, are we having movies in the park again in the summer?
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
something to look forward to.
absolutely.
Council, have any new items for discussion tonight? All right. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The study session has been canceled. And our next meeting agenda items looks like, we're gonna have business items, resolution to agreement for PSA for railroad crossing closure design services. There's no public hearings